You're listening to Life Conversations with Senior Helpers, where expert advice and real-life experiences offer support for every step of the aging journey. Because aging isn't just a stage of life, it's a conversation worth having.
Hi, this is Christina Chartrand and
David Chandler.
And we are with Life Conversations, another episode. David, we haven't been doing this for feels like a while.
Yeah, we've missed sharing, and we've had a lot of exciting things going on at Senior Helpers, continuing to just be out there and changing the world of home care and
Sure. But
yeah.
we are excited to get back and started. We have a couple episodes that we're recording, and I am so excited to talk about our special guest today, Kelli Bradley. I've known her for, oh my God, a long time, at least 18 years.
Yep.
Yep. And she actually used to be Senior Helper's business owner. And so, and then left and started a new a company that actually, how long have you been doing Devoted Daughter?
It's been 8 years now.
Yeah. So I feel like it's been a long time. And I've been wanting, since we started Life Conversations, been wanting to get Kelli on the podcast because she just fits on so many levels and the things that we talk about on a day-to-day. So I have a feeling we have a lot to talk about and you might have to come back a couple of times. But anyway, I'd like to introduce Kelli to everyone, to all of our listeners. And Kelli, why don't you share a little bit about your background and a little bit about Devoted Daughter?
Okay, thank you. So this whole, I guess the entree for me was when my mom started to get sick. And for so many of us, this is where we start, right? So, something in our family presents itself and we're faced with these decisions on, my gosh, what are we going to do? And so as I started to help my mom, I didn't see myself as a caregiver. I just was her daughter. And being out in the community and helping her, what I started to see was that there were so many others just like me who were walking this path and they weren't supported. And that's really what led me to Senior Helpers, because I felt like, wow, I'm living this and I can see that there's a huge need. There's a gap where there's so many people who are all alone in this journey. Mm-hmm. And I started researching different home care companies and different options and got involved with Senior Helpers. And that was an 11-year journey. And towards the end, I felt like people need a little bit more. They need a little bit more education. And I just didn't have the time to give to that. Mm-hmm. There's so much responsibility with, caregivers and your own business. And I wanted to be able to be on a more one-on-one basis with these clients and the resources. And that was great, but it's evolved again. And as time marches on, you start to think, wow, it's not just about the tactical piece of it. It's really about becoming. We're not broken, we're becoming. Mm-hmm. And how do we live through this? And so that's where it's called Life Was Born. And that's a membership community that really is housed under the umbrella brand of the Devoted Daughter. So we're in the beginning stages of it, but it's a place for folks to come and really a safe space, I think, for them to learn and share and really be a part of something, because life doesn't stop when we're caregiving. Mm-hmm. We still have to live through this. So that's how the journey started and how it's evolving.
That's so awesome.
So, Kelli, I would love to just hear a little bit more about that personal experience with becoming a caregiver. What were some of the things that you saw, you observed that led you into that time?
Just in terms of how did I get there?
Yeah, your own personal experience.
Well, I think what's really important is I didn't identify as a caregiver. I didn't think of myself as a caregiver. It wasn't until I was 5 years into Senior Helpers when one of my coworkers said, "You haven't been 100% because you're a caregiver." I'm like, "What?" No, I'm a daughter. So that I think is a real differentiator for people, because I think most people don't see themselves in that role. They don't identify as that. And it started with groceries and making sure the bills were getting paid and just coordinating things, making sure my brothers were in the loop and that, things were copacetic. It wasn't a choice, but it was human, right? I didn't raise my hand and say, I want to, be my mom's caregiver through this debilitating illness that she had. And so there was a lot of, education and support required, and really just rolling up your sleeves and trying to figure it out. And I was super fortunate that I have doctors and nurses in my own family, but most people don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the journey was just, I was doing what I thought every daughter would do, not even realizing that I was, sleeves up in the middle of caregiving in every way humanly possible.
It's so interesting that you bring this up, because I personally, my mom's going to be listening to this as well. She is, I'm her, what I would call her primary caregiver, right? So I am her caregiver. I always like to call myself a daughter first, when I want to be her daughter versus, though I know the things that you're talking about, because I am making sure that the bills get paid and making sure that has food in the house and that I'm up to date on doctor's appointments and all of those things. But in my heart, I want to be, I still want to be her daughter. And so how do you navigate that balance or help people navigate that balance?
Well, I think, it's so easy to fall back into the God-given role of daughter, right? It's like,
Right.
When did my hero start to need help to pay her bills? How did this happen? Sometimes it's, for me, I don't know about you, but I just would get flashbacks of things. It's like, no, but this is my mom,
I
this is
know.
Kelli. She's like racing all around and picking us up and doing this and that and the other thing. Like,
Right.
what? Now she can't see? And those are some of the hard, I think, quiet times where we can lose ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We lose ourselves in the caregiving role, and it happens just like quietly. It lingers and we don't even realize it's happening. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like naming it, a lot of people don't want to call themselves a caregiver. There's like some sort of like, I don't know, I'm not a caregiver. That's that person. That's the person we hired. I am
Right.
not a caregiver, right?
Right.
They don't want to accept that. So naming it, I think, is step one. It's like David and Chris, Kelli, we are her caregivers. We are a team. And that I'm veering off on something else, but just brought another thought up. When I owned my Senior Helpers franchise, it was a few years ago, but I think prior to COVID, a lot of families felt like, we're hiring you, we're expecting you to come in and take care of this.
Right.
And now you really have to, on both sides of the fence, on the private duty caregiver side and on the family side, this is a partnership. This is a
agree with that.
effort. And it's gotta flow that way from the very beginning in order to have success. But
I agree. Go ahead. But
what also happens is that primary caregiver can lose themselves really easy in that role. They can get sucked into it, and the things that you want to have private duty take over. Sometimes it's like, no, we don't want you doing that. Or my mom doesn't want you don't touch her refrigerator. She's going to lose it. And so you just have to understand your boundaries. But I think that, it is a working relationship, and it's built on trust, and trust is earned and not given. It doesn't happen right out of the gate. it takes time.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with it takes time. I think it takes acceptance from the person who needs the help, that takes some time as well. To get used to a new routine, to find the balance, as you said, because my mom also has a caregiver that comes into the house. So finding that balance of what she's responsible for, what I do. And actually, it's so interesting because I can say this to Kelli because she'll totally understand. I remember, just training for so long, franchisees and staff members is that communicate through the office. Well, you know what? I communicate directly to the caregiver, because that's the best way for me to have this conversation. I loop in the office when I need to, but, and our friend Mary did the same thing, so we're like, all right, maybe we have to rethink this communication a little bit differently so that we can have exactly what you're talking about, this working relationship. So very interesting.
Well, it's hard because I think as an owner, where I see the rub or the challenge with that is I need to know what my folks are doing.
I know.
And I've got to keep that in check because that's where things can unravel really quickly. And so my thought process is you must inspect what you expect.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just allow people to be out running around and then never chat with them. So
Right.
I've heard this happen in my office a million times. Someone calls in and the person answering the phone would hang up quickly. And I'm like, but did you ask how they were today? Did you ask how their shift was Mrs. Smith? Every phone call, every touch is an opportunity.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to make someone feel heard. It's an opportunity to make them feel seen. And that's what starts to fade away. Even the clients, the caregivers, the family caregivers, you just kind of fade into the background.
We hear story after story about caregiving, and one that sticks out to me was we had a family caregiver one time that I was asking them about their experience, and they were telling me that they had uh, left their home. They were going to be assisting caring for their father-in-law. And so they sold their home, moved into their father-in-law's house. She quit her job and was caring for him full time for about 2 years. During that 2 years, she felt extremely guilty any time that she stepped out of the house, even if it was just to go get groceries.
Hmm.
And she just was like, I would never forgive myself if something happened to him when I stepped out, even to get groceries. And so it affected her. She lost during those 2 years her social life. She wasn't connecting with friends, even going to work, having that connection with people at work, her spiritual connection, where she stopped going to her religious organization, the emotional, the physical toll that it was taking on her. So we look at this whole person approach, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. And I think that these conversations really take us into, and I'd love to revisit now the devoted daughter and kind of your mission, and how when you have these types of when you have these family caregivers that are coming to the website or joining the membership community, what is your mission there?
It's really to help to make sure that nobody has to do this alone. So that there's a place for them. And like I said earlier, whether, someone's just reading or reading somebody else's comments or they choose to actively participate, it's all okay. It's up to them. It's such a personal decision. But there are, I think it's tough for people to engage sometimes. And you have the people at the very beginning and they don't really know what they don't know. They don't, they're not sure what's coming. And then you have the people in the middle, and they're the people who really, I think, are folks who can use my support and people I can help because they're going to be there for a little while, right? and they're starting to figure out that, wow, I do need help. And there are other people just like me that are going through this. I'm not alone.
What do you think your number one or a couple of top questions or resources that you give out on a regular basis? What do you see where the biggest needs are?
It's really just understanding, first of all, just caregiving. Like, when should I get help? Or, I'm sure
Right.
I don't, my parents are asking, or my parents don't want help, but we think they need help. And so when I look at that, I think, well, and I might be jumping ahead a little bit, but I feel like the biggest mistake that people make is they don't get help soon enough, right? And they usually
Yeah.
do that for three reasons. The first is that they don't see themselves as a caregiver, and whatever they're doing is working for them right now. They're, hodgepodging it together. It's like the kids, the neighbors, it's working. It's not great, but it's holding itself together. So like, yeah, we're not really ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, it takes really uncomfortable conversations. And
Yeah.
we don't like to be uncomfortable. No one likes to be uncomfortable. And so now they've gotten to this place where, something awkward has happened. And then now they have to talk to their folks about it, or the person that they're caring for. And thirdly, they wait so long that they're just over it. It's like, it's time for dad to move. I can't do this anymore. We need to sell the house. We need to move on. I can't do it anymore. I don't have time. I have my own life. So it's a phased approach. So I think that that's one of the biggest challenges for people is they don't know how to make it work.
Yeah.
And balance their own lives.
Do you find that people also have difficulty around the healthcare system of not understanding where they can go, their primary care, understanding, the different medications that they're on, understanding the actual disease that their family has? Do you run into that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I can tell you that even my brother's a physician, and he's like, there's people come in, and we ask them what they're taking. I don't know, whatever my wife tells me to take. They don't know. And it's just, I mean, in the state of Oregon, we are allowed to do supervised tasks of nursing and medication management, which is each state is different. And so I would encourage people to, if they're seeking help, to understand what services can be offered in their particular state.
Right.
So in the state of Oregon, I would say that medication management was the number one error that I saw in my business. And we were very transparent about it. If a caregiver made a mistake, we called the doctor and said, this was a mistake. This happened. It was a med error. We documented all of it. You just can't mess around with that stuff, right? But people are very confused by it. And trying to manage that piece of it as a provider, as a home care provider, is really challenging. But I think as family members, it's also challenging because they're not in the home. And one of the things that happens so often is people use a lot of the pill containers, the pop pill box things, and they don't keep control samples of medications, and they don't keep accurate lists of medications. And so we had a constant fight with caregivers of, you have to double check what's in the pill box and what's on the list. But no, the person before me just did it. I'm like, but what if they spilled the whole box and somebody put it back in wrong? No one thinks about that stuff. So, I mean, it's the little things sometimes that it's like the devil's in the details. And I mean, think about taking the wrong medication and ending up in the ER. And then that's just a whole cycle of events that it's just it's hard on the individual. It's hard on the family. It's hard on our healthcare system. It's financially difficult. And the hospital is not a great place to be.
Oh, I know.
Hospitals make mistakes. So there's not only, that oversight in the home, but then if somebody does go into the hospital, it's like, well, how do we make sure that, that piece of it is handled? And that's another big one for me is preparing for the hospital. I'm in the ER with my mom now. What do I do? Because you're in the ER and then you get admitted, and not the information that happened in the ER doesn't always transfer to the floor.
Right.
So it's a whole communication thing, and people are just like, they're exhausted from it. And you want to just, and the hospital teams are exhausted because they're short staffed. So advocacy is vital.
Kelli, do you have any stories, like success stories? Like, I love hearing, just sharing stories. There's a lot of power in stories. Anybody that comes to mind that has come through the devoted caregiver, the devoted daughter, or uh, any stories that just jump out to you of like, we really helped this family caregiver recognize where they were and made a huge difference. I know you do this all the time. I'm just wondering if there's a particular story that you're like, wow, I really love this time that we got to
This
help
is a
this
senior
person.
helper story, but I think I'll never forget it. It's just one of those things. So I went to meet with a woman. I arrived at her home. There was newspapers stacked on the door. It was very disheveled from the exterior of the home. And she was living in the downstairs and it was filthy. And there were stacks of things everywhere. And her grandson was living upstairs and he was supposed to be watching after her. And she was blind. And so she was just trying to navigate in this space, this small little, and there was feces on the wall. It was very bad, very, very bad. The bed was a rat's nest. And so I don't know, I just like thought, I got to help her. I got to figure this out for her. And so I got two of the caregivers over there and we just started working through it, and not to take over, because I think that this is a really important point. You can't take over someone's life. You have to be respectful.
Yeah.
It's their home. It's their space. I'm not there to be the judge, but in this particular circumstances, it was health and safety. And so I think that's a little different. So she went from, she was an avid reader. She'd worked for the phone company for a zillion years, super smart, interesting gal. And she went from not really being able to hardly get up out of her chair to 3 months in, I had caregivers fighting to work with her. It was 24-hour care. And she could walk to the mailbox. And she could get in the car to go to her doctor's appointment. I'm like, man, yay! I mean, it was just and she was so proud of herself. But it's just like sometimes with little care and a little love and a little tenderness, people can thrive.
Yeah. Just getting a new routine down, making some changes and showing what you can do and what you're able to do. Yeah, can just totally change things. It's amazing. Really awesome. Can you tell us a little bit how our listeners could learn more about your organization?
Yeah, well, you can find me at thedevoteddaughter.com, and my socials are all there. You can also jump into the membership community. It's called Life.
Okay.
And our slogan is alive, a little undone, and still devoted. And that's www.school.com. It's called Life. And I think that link will be in the show notes as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And in that space, is there planned opportunities where you get people to be able to talk about things as well as have resources in there? What does that look like?
Yeah, so it's really, it's kind of a neat platform. It's really, it's very private. So it's different than a Facebook group. You do have to join. It is free to join. But there are there's conversations that are happening similar to a Facebook page. And then there are classrooms. So right now there's a lot of different classrooms available with all kinds of information. We touched on medication management. There's a whole video on medication management. There's videos on transfer. There's just all kinds of different videos in there. So lots of information housed in there, information about, how to set up an interview with an attorney, about
Oh
trusts and
my gosh, that's
wills,
great.
and an interview with my brother who's an orthopedic surgeon, and he talks about the importance of, identifying a primary care doctor, things like that. So the space will continue to evolve, and I'm so open to conversations and things that people are looking for. There's also inspiration there, because I think that that's really important. I think a lot, for a lot of people, they just need a place to belong right now and just
Mhm.
come. And then if they need the information, they can access it. Um, but they just need that space to be okay.
I love that. I love that. I think that is so awesome. I'm really excited about it. And I'm actually, once we get off these podcasts, I'm going to join. So it sounds really exciting. Yeah. And it sounds like just such a great resource. And you can tap in it at any time, like you're having a day and you're looking for something. And that's what's so nice, is that you've got to go to a place instead of just trying to Google it, right?
And I see it also evolving for professional folks as well, because one of the things that happens is you get into you only have so much time with a doctor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you leave and you think, oh, but I didn't ask about this, or I didn't, what about this? So I think that this is a resource for healthcare professionals who are busy and want to say to their clients or their patients, hey, this is a great free resource for you. You might want to check it out.
It's great.
Do you have any, as we're wrapping up, do you have any parting advice for family caregivers?
I think just what we touched on earlier, and that's don't wait until the crisis happens.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so hard because we're all busy with our lives. And so it's like, mom and dad are fine. We're not going to borrow any trouble. Everything's good right now. Let's not upset the apple cart, because we're all good right now. But
it's so true. One of the things I recommend to people is the good day, bad days equation.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, they have a good day or they have a bad day, but then they have 2 good days or 3 good days, and then there's a bad day. If you have more than one bad day, or even one bad day within a 2-week time period, mm-hmm. it's time to start looking around and kind of seeing what's going on. Because I feel like what happens is by the time they're at that crisis mode, there's more bad days than good days.
There absolutely are. And the other thing that I see a lot is it's a health and safety thing. Just like we were talking
mm-hmm.
about with Nan a minute ago, the house was filthy.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have good medical care or good health care in a home setting if you don't have health and safety managed.
Yeah.
And we hear about all these resources and all these things that are going to be available to people, but it's like, if we don't have the foundation set, we can't. If the person doesn't have food and clean water and clean sheets and a shower, we can't deliver that kind of care at home.
So true. Okay.
Kelli,
This was so awesome. Go ahead, David.
Before we wrap up, I had one last question.
Sure.
What is the future? What do you see on the horizon for the devoted daughter and It's Called Life? Is there new education? Is there new programs? What do you see in the near future?
Well, so think about this. There's 53 million unpaid caregivers in the U.S.
Wow.
It's a lot of folks.
And that's going to keep growing.
It's going to keep growing. And I really think the sky is the limit. And my thought process is that this isn't an AARP type deal. This is a community. And if we can build a community around this, and we can expand that into other microsystems, whether that's the healthcare system, whether that's corporations that maybe could include this as a benefit to their employees. I mean, think how many employees are family caregivers. And they're silent in that role. Their bosses don't know it. No one knows about it. They're just silently working a part-time job and a full-time job. They're 20 hours a week helping their parents. So I think that there's a lot of possibility here.
I agree. I agree. All right. Well, it was awesome. Thank you
Thank you,
so
guys.
much for
Kelli, you are doing amazing work,
yeah,
and we're so appreciative for you and the work that you're doing, and also appreciative that you took some time to join us today to share more, so that we could glean from your wisdom and your experiences. So thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you. Good to chat with you. Nice to see you, Christina.
nice to see you.
All right.
All
Take care, you
right.
guys.
Well, everyone, catch us on our next episode of Life Conversations. We'll talk to you soon.
This has been Life Conversations with Senior Helpers. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow the show, leave us a positive review on your favorite streaming platform, and share it with someone who may benefit. It helps us grow and helps us continue sharing expert guidance and real support for aging well. To learn more about Senior Helpers and how we help older adults live independently and safely at home, visit seniorhelpers.com.